Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice, where I am occasionally wrong. The first time I heard Judas Priest, I was not persuaded by Rob Halford's painful vocals, but I listened and analyzed some more and ultimately was impressed. And then eventually I was wrong again for not featuring them on the channel for over 2 years. Yes, it is easy to get drawn into other bands, but we need to come back to the progenitors of heavy metal. So let's get to it. That is a huge crowd. Wow, this is so much fun to come back to. Oh, just the power of his sound, along with the aggressive edge of it, immediately hits. I think it's so impressive to hear that edge in the sound and yet know, like, this is a sound that survived for a long time. Also, he went up for a high squeal a couple different times, and it was so clean and just well produced. That makes me really wonder what parts in here are making that distorted edge, right? It's clearly being done in a healthy way. So we're gonna go back to the beginning. Whoop. This is from Live Aid, guys, and I mean, what a show. What an incredible, amazing event. So I was very excited to specifically analyze this live version. I felt like it would probably be one of the most incredible live versions we could ever find of it. So even when he's like hollering at the beginning, I can hear immediately this extra closure that's going to be a little higher in the vocal tract. And that's where I believe that some of those extra pieces of anatomy are creating some of that distortion on the sound. Back just a little, we'll keep going. It's like he's warming up that distortion. He's having fun. I think it's so important to note the fundamental pitch that is happening underneath. And that's where the true vocal folds are going wacka, 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 very quickly to create a pitch. And then there's the extra distortion, that sort of grit. It sounds like a little bit of gravel that's on top of the sound. And I do not believe that he's making that with his true vocal folds. To me, it sounds like those two are separate. Also sounds like he's just so familiar with that combination and so efficient with it. It actually looks easy for him to create. Whereas for most singers to get to this point, it can be pretty difficult. It can be quite the journey. That right there, the hop up, it's a little squeak up. That's crazy awesome. It's almost like a whistle in his sound. Man, so the audio on this to me definitely sounds live and not it doesn't sound like it's had any pitch tampering. There are moments when he's a little sharp or a little under that make it more conversational. I like that expression. There's a casualness in it, a certain freedom in it, which I think really goes with the entire vibe of the song. It's just amazing. It's also led me to think a little bit about what does that look like in your pitch software. I think specifically of Melodyne. Melodyne is, when it comes to pitch correction, Melodyne is like the greatest software. This is what a lot of a cappella groups will use because it has to be so freaking precise. And if you're recording in different places, it's really, really helpful to have Melodyne to help out. There's auto-tune and Taris, and there's some other things that can do tuning as well, but they often leave more of an imprint, whereas a lot of times people just don't know if Melodyne has been used. And it can be used very, very gently, just for a tiny nudge here and there. And I have used it on so many different voices. I've done vocal production with quite a few different sounds, and I can tell you what things in Melodyne are easier to work with or not. But I've never worked with a sound that had that much gravel on it. It makes me wonder, there's a processing system that tries to identify the pitches and what's happening, has a really fun time with vibrato. And I have no idea what it would do with that kind of gravel, because that gravel does shift the fundamental portion of the tone. So I don't know. I'd be really, really curious. And I would imagine that if you tried to tune much with that kind of gravel, you would get all kinds of artifacts in there. It would be very, very curious. If anybody ever wants to send me some super distorted vocals like this to play with a Melodyne, I think I would have a blast messing around with it. It's so awesome. Ready to take on any deal. Lord, let me hear. My boss is racing, I'm hot to take. This morning's the round I'm meant to break. Out to midnight, walking to the door. Love it till the morning, but I'm gone. I love how powerful and present his sound is, even while he's moving around a lot. He's not doing a park and bark thing. He's just continually plowing through sound while walking. Has quite a bit of rhythmic movement as well. It makes me think that this is truly an easy sound for him to make, despite the fact that it sounds extremely powerful, aggressive. I'm trying to think of other words to give to you. I think a lot of people would think it's very effortful. And I think for him, it's actually very effortless. What style? What hair? Ooh, there's like some screeching in there. Woo! The live performances, y'all. All kinds of fun technical complications can happen. I keep trying to place what kind of anatomy he's using. We have way too little research on the voice especially when it comes to adding this kind of distortion to it. It has long been a faux pas subject. It was definitely not encouraged as a research subject for many, many years. People felt like, oh, well, classical is the right way to sing, and classical actually is very hard to put together with distortion in here. Trust me, I've been working on it. But the research body is extremely small, extremely small. I am working to change that. I will tell you straightforward, I am making all kinds of pushes, nudges, making it happen. You guys will hear more about that in the future for sure. Keep your ears out for more harsh vocal research or research on vocal distortions. You will see it coming through the Charismatic Voice. We have a team of people that are working to change this and make much more science available and how people are making these sounds. But when I think about how he's making it, the only way to truly understand what he's doing here would be to put a camera down his throat. And I'll probably shoot his team a message asking if we can, but I don't know if he'll allow for that. Many singers feel very trepidatious about that. But that can help you see the structures. There have been reports of all kinds of structures being used. When we did this with Will Ramos, we saw a bunch of different involvement in structures in ways that had actually never before been recorded. I would guess that we have some area epiglottic folds in there. That's often what you'll hear in like Louis Armstrong's kind of growl. But I'm not sure. It sounds to me like it's going to be a structure that's above the true vocal folds. But in there, you have the epiglottis that can get involved. You have false vocal folds that can be involved. I said the area epiglottic folds. There's also the arytenoid cartilages. Sometimes people use a spit rattle. I kid you not. There's all kinds of different structures up there that can be engaged to create a different kind of distortion. So we need so much more research. And if you guys want to hear more about that, stay tuned with the channel, please. Go back a little bit. Ooh, that's great. Ooh. Man, I hear that squeaking coming in every now and then. Guys, like this, just understand it is extremely difficult to work with live shows like this. The technology it's so easy for everything to get overloaded with sound and create some sort of feedback like that. It is problematic. I will admit to you though that I actually don't have as much experience in that area. Because I sang opera for my professional singing career. That was my main focus of style. And most of the time in opera, we're not using microphones. We might use them to record something, but in a live performance like this, we're inside of a theater, usually not outside with huge crowds. Sometimes concerts will go outside in huge crowds and then use some amplification. But it's a very hotly debated subject about whether or not amplification should be used with opera. There's a lot of traditionalists that think it should not be used ever. So these problems, I have encountered them in different situations, especially when singing for other genres a little bit. But I have never encountered it to the degree that would be present at this kind of event. Wow. Man, he's done so many instances where he's jumped up really high and then back down so quickly and easily. It's like his larynx is always just ready to kick it into that other gear. Insane. That mic. Oh man. Just sorry to all y'all who have super sensitive height hearing. I know this this mic feedback sound is like it's very, very high and a little intense at the moment. But I'm gonna go back. It's hard to focus on his voice as much as I would like to with this, but it's really great to see him in a live setting. So we're gonna continue. One of the things that I've noticed here is that he's not hugely opening his mouth a lot of times. This is again going to come back to this idea of I don't think that the sound that he's making is terribly effortful. I think it's even in the enunciation, it feels like he's expanding speech and growing off of that, but we're not having like that total dropped jaw, just incredible. A lot of people will describe his vocals as having power, maybe even some operatic lines in them. This to me actually does not resemble opera very closely at all. I think maybe it has opera in just having a solid support that's always there, but I don't see him needing to harness that power and sustain it like an opera singer. This just looks like powerful ease, and maybe that would be like an opera singer sort of in a lower range. I'm guessing this is a warm-up kind of song. This doesn't feel like a peak kind of song. Squeak squeak. Maybe that's why he's having so much crowd involvement. So let that get figured out. Wow. Oh man, that's a huge crowd. It's so amazing to me that they are still continuing to make music. For years, I was under the wrong impression that this kind of singing was going to damage the voice. I've actually now got a course that's with Chris Lipe and Will Ramos about how to do harsh vocals in a healthy way, how to self-monitor. But I tell you all, I still want so much more vocal research. And I think that just listening to Rob Halford and listening to how he's aged and developed over time is a great example of how to successfully involve this kind of aggressive music in a career and in your singing. If you want to see those initial analysis videos of him, you can check that out over here, and may you fall more in love with music every day.